Conquest of Mecca requires comprehensive coverage of the event from all aspects. I will begin by providing a general introduction, and I will divide the essay into several sections covering the causes and historical background, the details of the conquest itself, its results and effects, and the lessons learned from it. Introduction. The conquest of Mecca is considered one of the most important events in the history of Islam, and it is a pivotal turning point that contributed to the spread of Islam and the consolidation of its foundations in the Arabian Peninsula. After years of conflict between Muslims and Quraysh, this conquest was achieved without any significant fighting, which contributed to demonstrating the power of forgiveness and mercy in Islam, unlike the conquests that were witnessed by wars at that time. Historical background. To understand the importance of the conquest of Mecca, it is necessary to go back to what preceded this event. After the migration of the Prophet Muhammad, may God bless him and grant him peace, and his companions from Mecca to Medina, the Muslims entered into many conflicts with Quraysh, who saw the new religion as a threat to their political and economic influence. The most prominent of these conflicts were the Battle of Badr and Uhud, and then the Battle of the Confederates. Despite these wars, the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, tried to avoid direct conflict with the Quraysh by concluding the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah in the 6th year of Hijra. This treaty was intended to stop fighting between the two parties for 10 years. However, the Quraysh's breach of this treaty after only 2 years was one of the main reasons that prompted the Muslims to prepare for the conquest of Mecca. Reasons that led to the conquest of Mecca. One of the main reasons that led to the conquest of Mecca was the Quraysh's breach of the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah. According to the terms of this treaty, both parties were supposed to respect peace and refrain from aggression. However, the Quraysh allied with the Banu Bakr tribe who launched an attack on the Khuzai tribe, an ally of the Muslims, which was considered a clear violation of the treaty. When the news reached Medina, the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, decided to act decisively to deter the Quraysh and restore security to the region. However, the aim of the military action was to achieve a peaceful conquest of Mecca with as little bloodshed as possible. Preparing for the conquest of Mecca. The Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, began preparing a large army estimated at 10,000 fighters. The main purpose of this massive preparation was to show strength and emphasize that any resistance would be futile. The Prophet was keen to keep the movement towards Mecca in complete secrecy, so that most Muslims were not aware of the ultimate goal until they were close to reaching Mecca. As the army approached Mecca, the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, sent messages to the leaders of the Quraysh, including Abu Sufyan, who went out to negotiate with the Muslims. Abu Sufyan, who had been one of the Prophet Muhammad's fiercest enemies in the past, converted to Islam after seeing the strength of the Muslims and being convinced that there was no point in resisting this conquest. Entering Mecca and the peaceful conquest. On the 20th day of Ramadan, in the 8th year of the Hijra, the Muslims entered Mecca from several directions. The Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, ordered his leaders not to fight except in self-defense. Indeed, Mecca was entered without significant resistance except for a few minor skirmishes at the Al-Qandama area. Upon entering the Kaaba, the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, ordered the destruction of the idols that were placed around it. Then he entered the Kaaba and prayed inside it. After that, he gathered the people of Mecca and announced a general amnesty for them by saying, "Go, you are free," which had a great impact on the conversion of many of them to Islam. Results of the conquest of Mecca. The conquest of Mecca had great results on several levels. 1. Spread of Islam. After the conquest of Mecca, many of its people converted to Islam, and there was no longer any force that could stand in the way of the spread of the new religion. Mecca became the spiritual and political center of Islam. 2. Islamic unity. The conquest united all the Arab tribes under the banner of Islam, which paved the way for the conquest of the rest of the Arabian Peninsula and the expansion of the Islamic State. 3. Stability of the region. With the end of the conflict with the Quraysh, stability prevailed in the Arabian Peninsula, which helped build the emerging Islamic State on strong and stable foundations. 4. Devoting the values of forgiveness and mercy. The forgiveness shown by the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, towards his former enemies from the people of Mecca was a great lesson in tolerance and mercy, which attracted many to Islam. Lessons learned from the conquest of Mecca. Many lessons can be learned from this great historical event. 1. Planning and preparation. The conquest of Mecca demonstrated the importance of good planning and careful preparation before any major operation. The Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, prepared for the conquest of Mecca in complete secrecy and with clever tactics, which contributed to the success of the conquest without losses. 2. Forgiveness when able. The Prophet Muhammad's, PBUH, attitude towards the people of Mecca after the conquest highlights the importance of forgiveness and pardon even in times of victory and strength. These values are among the most prominent principles of Islam. 3. Preaching with wisdom. The Prophet Muhammad's, PBUH, use of diplomacy and negotiation before fighting shows how goals can be achieved without resorting to violence. The conversion of Abu Sufyan to Islam was a result of Th.